Alright, quick note. As I'm largely unfamiliar with this period in British history, I will only be commenting on the favorite as is, and not on the particular historical depictions featured in it. Let's get to it. I enjoy family movie nights, especially with friends. So, when my oldest friend invited me to check out Yorgos Lanthimos' The Favorite in theaters with him and his family, I was pretty excited to spend some time with great company and see something new when I was reluctant to go to the cinema as much as I do nowadays. It was interesting to go into a film I had virtually no prior knowledge of, other than it apparently being a big hit at the Oscars. While I didn't want to get my hopes up too quickly, I was still somehow feeling quite good about finding out what I was about to get myself into. I'm glad I always make a habit of listening to my intuition. For what turned out to be a period drama, I was impressed by how many tropes and cliches it feeds to the birds, which the characters would undoubtedly proceed to shoot down for target practice. This likely has to do with the fact that the movie is actually, well, mostly, satirical in nature. But I assure you The Favorite has a lot more going for it than that, thanks to superb writing by Deborah Davis and Tony McNamara. It's the 18th century, and England is at war with France. However, it doesn't really seem to matter that much, as we've got more important affairs to attend to. Namely, the one where cousins Sarah Churchill and Abigail Hill compete to be the new favorite in Queen Anne's court. Aside from the fact that this movie actively pokes fun at what pompous, powder-faced elites were usually up to in court, nobody is afraid to speak their minds directly to each other's powdered faces. What's more, they don't bother that much with formal speech, rather speaking somewhat similarly to how we do nowadays. I'm overjoyed that someone finally decided to call out other period dramas for trying to convince us that these people had totally alien mannerisms, when it more than likely wasn't the case at all. We had to have inherited it from somewhere, right? These ideas are best exemplified in the frenemy dynamic between Abigail and Parliament member Robert Harley, who tries prying her for information about Anne's, well actually Sarah's, plans regarding what will be done about the war. As he doesn't want it to be prolonged and heavily funded through taxes. Even when he beats her down, though, she never truly lets him get under her skin. Abigail herself is arguably the most complicated character to portray in the picture. I thought Emma Stone was an odd choice at first, given her lineup until then, but the better acquainted I got with her role throughout the story, the more this casting decision made sense to me. This girl starts out as believably kind-hearted, but her good qualities are overridden by the fact that she isn't actually well-meaning. While I can definitely buy her care for Anne, she thrills herself with the possibility that maybe she could become a lady again, and uses Anne's growing affections toward her to her advantage. But the interesting part of all that is how Abigail almost seems like she isn't fully aware of what she's doing to Anne and how it's affecting their relationship. With the constant power exchange between her, the Queen, and Sarah in mind, here's where her character becomes unique and complex. As a naive fresh face, she is no match for this season's scoundrels in court. She may be daring, but doesn't think things through. Even when she tests her wit, it's short-lived, and she has a difficult time controlling herself to the point where she ends up causing far more trouble than necessary. It's an intriguing take on the nice guys finish last concept that kept my attention. Juxtapose her character with Sarah, who is consistent from beginning to end. Rachel Weisz's performance guarantees her dignity and prowess in every situation. She doesn't pretend to be anything other than what she is, which is someone who clearly wants Anne's position, considering how much authority she's given herself by being the queen's beauty with brains. Regardless, she holds validity over Abigail, who's ironically supposed to be the hero, and even when she's KO'd, she's still somehow the victor by default. And then we have our star, the Queenie herself. Here's an instance where I, for once, honestly sympathized with a figurehead. Never mind that her right-hand woman is attempting to steal her job. She's dealing with health issue upon health issue, a bunch of parliamentary farts breathing down her neck, and the memory of her 17 dead children. Yet, she manages still to be the nicest person in the room in spite of her, frankly understandable, scary mood swings. Without giving too much away, Anne is surprisingly forgiving of others' horrible behavior, in light of how monarchs have usually been said to punish alleged wrongdoers. Olivia Colman deserved the recognition she got on awards night, because she made what would have been either a bumbling idiot or a full-fledged tyrant in any other story incredibly likable and a force to be reckoned with. Anne puts her foot down with Sarah when she needs to, despite her physical and mental burdens. She wants to see the good in people, but realizes she can't be so trusting. And she demonstrates her authoritative capabilities without anyone spoon-feeding her the answers all the time. I only had 2 gripes with the movie. The weird, unfitting shots at times, especially that fisheye lens, and Abigail's annoying, one-dimensional husband who's just there to worship her. They didn't completely tamper with my overall enjoyment, however. Unlike Justin Chadwick's The Other Boleyn Girl, where everyone except for Elizabeth and Mary, sort of, is thoroughly despicable. Characters in The Favourite are either bad or good at different points of the plot, depending on the context, which to me feels much more compelling to watch and discuss from both a political and narrative standpoint. I hope to see a continuing trend where we as the audience can either agree or disagree with characters in various scenarios, whether we like them or not. It's nuanced after all, just like real life is.